The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of Bronxnet or the program underwriters.
Bronxnet. Your voice, your views, your vision.
Hello and welcome to the one and only show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I'm your host, Ramon Rodriguez, filling in for Daren Jaime, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our community. First up, political analyst and SUNY Maritime professor Mark Meyrowitz stops by to break down some of the major national and international headlines. Also, legal correspondent David Lesh continues his contract law series with a breakdown on matchmaking and online dating. Plus, Harry Boobins of Friends of Brook Park is here to share the latest nature and garden restoration projects that his group has embarked on. And Principal Matthias Gouchard of the Bronx Lighthouse Charter School is here to discuss the building of their new high school. And finally, Luis Arzu of Harlem Seals will talk to us about his organization's mission to give exposure and a stable learning environment to as many young people as possible. So stay tuned. All this and much more is headed your way, because we are now officially open. Hello, Bronxites. I'm your host, Ramon Rodriguez. Today is Wednesday, June 29, 2011. And of course, you're watching Open, the only live and interactive program that brings the Bronx and New York straight to your TV set. Feel free to give us a call at 718-960-7241 or send an email to open@bronxnet.org and check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Much has gone on in the national and international headlines since the last time our first guest came on the program. Some of the issues that come to mind are Anthony Weiner's resignation, the Turkish election results, the news from Syria, and some of the most recent Supreme Court decisions on free speech. Here with me now is Professor Meyrowitz, and again, as always, Mark, thank you for being with us.
Hello, Ramon.
And I know that there is a lot to talk about, so I'm going to open it directly to you.
The world is turbulent.
Yes, so that you can tell us a little bit about, of course, let's zero in first on something that may have already happened, and that is the Turkish election, the Greek election results, and as far as the economy.
About the Greek economy?
The Greek economy, yeah, and I'll segue back to the Turkish
Well, I mean, I think the whole region is in turmoil because of Greece economy. The economy in Greece is really in a shambles. And part of that is because part of the Greek economy is actually a secret economy or a silent economy or a non-tax-paying economy. Mm-hmm. So basically what has happened is the nations of the world, they want to provide aid to Greece, have said, look, if you want to get aid, you have to implement austerity measures. You have to actually tighten your belts and do certain things. And there's been a lot of rioting in Greece, so that situation, I'm sure, on a short-term basis will be remedied by some sort of loans from the Western and developed countries.
Especially from the European
Right, exactly, European countries and the EU countries. But the question is the long-term stability of Greece, which is in great in disarray and disrepair. Those austerity measures need to be adopted, or else Greece is going to literally default, which is, again, these kind of doomsday scenarios that we have about countries and cities defaulting. These things are realistic in today's world.
And those situations, of course, tend to have some sort of a domino effect.
Exactly. However, when you mention Turkey, really the situation there is completely different, because the economy in Turkey is booming. It's either the 17th, 16th, or 15th largest economy in the world, and it is doing beautifully, very, very well. And that has really been attributed to Prime Minister Erdogan. The elections just were held on June 12th. The June 12th election results were extremely interesting. Essentially, there were three major political parties in contention. The AK party, which is the Islamist-oriented party of Prime Minister Erdogan. The Republican People's Party, which is called the CHP or CHP, which is kind of the party of the tradition of Ataturk and secularism. And then also the Nationalist Party called the MHP or MHP. Now, what's interesting is that Erdogan received approximately 50% of the seats in parliament. But he was short of what was called a supermajority, which meant that he could not now amend the Constitution on his own. He has to now submit to referendum and submit to the other parties. The Republican People's Party got about 26%, and the Nationalist Party 13%. And there were also 36 or 35 other representatives who ran as independents. That's an important point to explain that, because in the Turkish system, the only political party that can get into parliament must get 10% of the seats. If you get under 10% of the seats, you're out, which has led really to the success of AK Party, because these parties get more of a boost because a lot of the small parties can't get into parliament, so they allocate the parties among those parties that get over 10%.
Now, let me ask you this. Considering that he didn't get a supermajority,
right.
Would that, do you think, in your opinion, would that have any impact on the success that the Turkish economy, for example, is currently experiencing?
Right. I think that's a great question. The AK Party mandate is to boost the economy. The success of the AK Party is based on the economy. The problem is there are a lot of other issues of turmoil in society. For example, when Parliament convened, a number of the delegates or parliamentarians boycotted it. Why? Because some of the parliamentarians or members of the Parliament who were elected actually were elected from jail. And they were not allowed. It's an amazing Turkish politics. I mean, I was just in Turkey at the end of May, and literally you walk down the street, and this is nothing like what you ever would experience. New York City politics is crazy, but this is unbelievable. All day long, vans are running up and down the street with loud Turkish music and slogans, political slogans.
Okay.
No, I don't think we would do that here. Also, maybe
We
it's an
used to.
idea. Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, exactly. We used to have Tammany Hall in Boss Tweed also. But in any event, the politics is very exciting. There was a sex scandal in one of the parties which caused a number of candidates to resign.
Well, there's something new.
Yes, well, that's absolutely right. I don't think the Turks wrote the book on that. Americans have a number of them as well. But also, these delegates actually were told you can't take your seats because you are not allowed to due to terrorism, whatever. And now the AK Party wanted to take their seats. So there's a complete excitement and turmoil again in this politics. So you have a boosting economy on the one hand, but internal turmoil in particular on the Kurdish issue.
Wow.
The Kurdish question causes incredible dissension in Turkey on Kurdish rights and Kurdish nationalism, and that expresses itself in these 35 or 36 seats, but also in the Kurdish regions, hotly contested.
Let's shift gears
Sure.
to a more local issue here,
Okay.
as it relates to the resignation of Congressman Anthony Weiner, his most recent resignation regarding the events that led to that demise. Do you think that resignation was inevitable?
Well, look, here's the thing. If Anthony Weiner had hired a good public relations firm at the beginning and announced at the outset, I have a problem, my wife is behind me, I'm going into therapy, I think he would still be in Congress. But what he did, which was wrong, was that he lied about it. He stonewalled and lied. And once a politician does that, you lose. That became the inevitability factor occurred at that point. Once you start to lie as a politician, you're toast. And the point is, he did that. And in this era of transparency or alleged transparency, where we look to our politicians to tell us the truth and tell us what they're doing, that just wouldn't pass muster, not even for a minute.
Do you think, Mark, that given the apparent, I'll use the word prevalence that seems to be permeating the political atmosphere today as it relates to sex-related scandals, do you think that the American public is at a point, excuse me, where, in a case like an Anthony Weiner, if he had been forthright from the beginning, that he would not have been faced with the inevitability of having
Yes.
to resign?
Well, I think it depends. It depends. In this particular case, and I'm not judging what he did or what he didn't do, but I don't believe what he did was, this is my lawyer's side speaking, and I'm not giving a legal opinion, of course, but it does not appear that there was any criminality involved. Okay, no criminal charge.
Violation of ethics.
Well,
maybe, but
certainly,
that's it.
you're right. Ethics, disclosure, being untruthful, all of that, but no
Right.
criminality.
Right.
So that's the line, in my opinion. In other words, if a politician has a problem, and Americans are pretty tolerant and forgiving. If someone says, look, I've got a problem, I need help, I'm working with my wife, I'm going to take some time off, I'm going to get therapy, that, I think he would have been able to ride that wave. But once he said they're hacking in here, they're doing this, they're
Right,
doing that,
right.
which is a whole bunch of nonsense, that was the end of him. However, as I said, I think if it's a criminal offense, then there's an inevitability on that. If there's a criminal offense, you're out. You're out. I
Right,
think very
right.
clearly, and that's what's happened in some of the other cases where there was either alleged criminality or illegality that was more than just, as you say, a breach of ethics or
Yeah.
truthfulness.
Well, we wish him well for sure.
Of course,
Now,
of course.
let's, in the time remaining, let's zero in on the most recent Supreme Court decision regarding the video games and the violence attached to them, and Antonin Scalia's majority writing on that case. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And the issue of free speech,
the
of course.
Supreme Court has been very vigilant on the issue of free speech in a number of cases that it's heard. The most recent case involved the California law, which banned violent video games. And actually, that law was never enforced because either there was a stay, and basically it was the industry that wanted to test it in the court. So they never really enforced it, but the law was on the books. And they brought it all the way to the Supreme Court, and they won in the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said it is unconstitutional to ban violent video games. Now, Justice Scalia has many arguments. One of them is that, for example, Dante's Inferno and Grimm's fairy tales are very scary and violent. So what differentiates that from, for example, a violent video game? What the court's really looking at is the protection in the First Amendment of free speech. And that is a bright line, that the Constitution is a bright line to protect free speech. And similarly, they also ruled on this crush videos. These were sexually oriented videos involving animal cruelty. They also found that law to be unconstitutional. And the point is, any laws that infringe free speech, and the other one was the Westboro Baptist Church case, in which a group of members of the Westboro Baptist Church, as reprehensible as this is, and as shocking as it is, would go around to funerals of families of boys who died in Iraq and
girls,
scream at
men
them,
and women.
and men and women that said that you deserve to die, and God ordained this, and they were sued for what is called intentional infliction of emotional distress. The Supreme Court, in its argument, when they heard the oral argument, they were very interested in how far are you standing, what are you doing, but at the end of the day, the court said the First Amendment, free speech limit, we don't limit free speech, as reprehensible as it is. So it's an interesting trend. On the other side, I just wanted to mention, on business cases like with Walmart, the Walmart class action, the court basically saved Walmart's life by knocking down that class action.
Well, I
But
think
anyway,
that we can say that the court may have saved Walmart, but in turn actually saved corporate America, because that was going to be a watershed case, so for
Yes,
sure.
yes.
And as some would argue that given the majority of the court that ruled on that case, it's a very conservative court in that regard, and their interests have always lied with big business.
Ramon, I agree with you that it's a watershed case, but I think that the Walmart case, the problem with the Walmart case, if you listen to the oral argument in the court, what they were worried about is this was a case involving discrimination against women employees.
Sure.
But the problem was Walmart is such a big company, and its policies are regional, so they were worried that this was going to be so unmanageable that it couldn't be handled. But you're right, big victory. Walmart, if it had lost that case, there would be no more Walmart. I mean, Walmart would have been nuked and gone and finished because of the litigation.
And Mark, as always, thank you so much for your
welcome.
insight and for your comments regarding all of these issues. And we'll be right back after this break with our Legal Corner and David Lesh. I would have loved to have really get into some of the issues.
Be free. Nice, Dad. Nice, Dad. Nice, Dad.
Charles!
Nice, Dad.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of siblings in foster care who'll take you just as you are.
This is so cool, Dad. Awesome. This is so cool, Dad.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of siblings in foster care who'll take you just as you are.
For you. Hey, Mom.
You know, girls, I used to cheer back in my day. Ready? Okay! Go team!
That was amazing. 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 Mom, that was amazing.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of siblings in foster care who'll take you just as you are.
Hi there, and welcome back, and we're here on Open. In today's edition of the Legal Corner, attorney and legal correspondent David Lesh will continue his contract law discussion. More specifically, the contracts one gets into when they enter the world of matchmaking and online dating. David, as always, welcome and thank you for being here.
Nice to be here.
Matchmaking and online dating. Boy, has that become a booming industry.
It absolutely has been. And you know what, let's take a step back for a second as we continue the contractual law series. Let's make sure that everybody understands the elements of a contract. It's been a while since I reviewed this, so I think it's important for everybody to understand this because the contract always has the same basic elements. The element of an offer, somebody makes an offer to you, and the element of acceptance, somebody accepts your offer. In between is what's called consideration. In other words, there's something has to be given back from each one. Somebody's offering a good or service, and the acceptance is that you're paying for something or you're giving something in return. Not a token, but you're giving something in return. The offer, of course, can be revoked, depends on how long it's open for, and in terms of the acceptance, you can make a counter offer, and this goes back and forth all the time. So now we understand the elements of a contract. Well, today's contract we're dealing with are matchmaker contracts. We're not necessarily talking about the actual internet dating sites where you're making your own dates by yourself. In other words, you're picking the different people on the site, such as Match.com or JDate. We're not talking about those types of matchmaking contracts.
We're talking about eHarmony, for example.
No, we're not talking about eHarmony either. We're talking about service contracts, matchmaker contracts, where somebody is actually getting you a particular amount of dates per year. This is different. This is where you contract a particular agency, Great Expectations, for instance, and they say we're going to provide you with one person every month for the next 2 years, let's say. And this is governed by the Dating Services Law of New York. What makes this different is that the person who is charging you this amount is guaranteeing you or attempting to guarantee you a particular type of person for a certain amount of period. Okay? The problem is they're only allowed to charge you $25 a month if they do not provide you with a certain amount of referrals per month. And it can't be an open-ended contract. They can't say, well, we're going to give it to you in maybe 2 years, 3 years, 4. No. It's got to be within a 2-year period. So far, so good?
So far,
and
so
they can't charge, from what my reading of the statute, more than $1,000 a year. But from what friends of mine who have entered into these contracts are paying a lot more than $1,000 a year, some up to $5,000, $10,000, even more, it seems that the reason they're paying more and the services, the agencies can get away with it, is that they're guaranteeing you a particular type of person. And because of that, and they give you this type of person each month for a 2-year period, they can go up and beyond the $1,000 amount.
All right, so let me interject for a minute.
Fine.
Now, So they give you this particular type of person each month.
That's correct.
Okay. So you enter into the contract, and the first person that they give you is someone
that doesn't meet the criteria.
No, on the contrary.
Meets the criteria.
That meets the criteria, and you make an incredible connection with.
Fine.
Chemistry is good, everything is beautiful, and so now, are you then subjected to accepting the
Are you saying,
next
are you
candidate?
forced to have to go out with the
so
next you can tell the person that you meet that you've worked, well, I have no choice, I have to go out with, with another 12 to 15 women or men.
There's got to be an escape clause in that contract.
There may be an escape clause. You may not have to go if you want to save what seems to be happening between you and the person you've met.
Right.
But can you revoke the contract? That's a very interesting question, because some agencies allow you to revoke the contract. Sometimes it's irrevocable. So it depends. That's something you should be looking for. You do have, by law, per the dating services law, a 3-day cooling off period.
Okay.
Meaning within 3 days, you might say, this isn't for me. It's not working. You provided me, I've thought it over, I'm back together with somebody who I had been dating, or this isn't for me. You can break the contract. You have 3 days to break the contract no matter what. That's in the dating services law.
But that's initially.
Initially.
Okay, they should have a cooling off period after the first date, after the second date.
You know what? Some agencies allow you to be able to stop the contract. You can revoke, maybe get your money back for a certain amount of time. Now remember, this is different than, again, the eHarmony, Match.com, JDate, those types of services. That's a different type of situation, because they're just giving you a bunch of people that you yourself, you're choosing as to who you're going to pick on that's already on the site. They're not necessarily making the introductions. They get around this, though, and charge you more for it, because they give you 5 or 6 dates per day in an email saying these would suit you. But they're not necessarily doing the real research that it takes to provide you with that perfect match. Now, they say they are, like, eHarmony says they are, and they can charge you more than the $25 a month. Sure. And that's how they get around it. But the kind of service contracts that I'm talking about are the specifically tailored to you, and they're charging a certain amount of money because they're giving you that one referral a month, but that perfect person for you. Now, before you enter into these contracts, let's talk about what you should be looking for, what you should be asking about if you decide to hire this matchmaker who's going to set this up for you. The first one you should ask is, how does the company screen their candidates? This is very important. Do they do background checks? Criminal background checks, that's very important. Do they verify if somebody says they're not married? Because you know there are a lot of people who say they're not married, and they are married, and they're getting set up. Okay, that's very, very important. How do they go about screening? That's very important. The second thing, how do the introductions made? Are they made in person? Does the matchmaker have the person call you? Do they give phone numbers? This is something that you may want to know, because they don't want somebody knocking on your door if they give your address. Is it done in public? These are things that should be thought out. Third thing, how many people are in your database that she has or he has to choose from, to pick for you? What if they only have 15 or 20 people? Well, that's not very big. Right. But what if the matchmaker says, I have the entire metro New York area. I have women from this neighborhood and men from this neighborhood. These are
age category, demographics,
exactly.
Et cetera.
Well, also, are the people right for me? For instance, I'm a smoker. Let's say, okay? You might say, I'm a smoker and I'm only dating smokers. And I know there aren't that many smokers anymore, so do you have enough smokers out there for me? That type of thing. Kids. I have children, let's say. I only want to date people who have children. Do you have that? You got to check the database. This is important. We talked about this earlier. Can I revoke it? When can I get out of this contract? Assuming, like you said, I met the love of my life. I want to leave, or I want to go back to to whoever I had been dating.
My old love.
My old love. Okay. This is important. Right. These are all important questions to ask. Remember, there's in New York, you have laws that protect you. Research the statute. It's the dating services law. It's not tough to find.
Is that the name of the statute?
That's the name of the statute. The dating services law. Okay. You can Google it. You can read all the elements of the statute. And when you really are in doubt, and I do this myself a lot of times when I come on the show and I want to know something, I go right to the Better Business Bureau's website. Okay, and I'm looking at it right now, which gives really great advice and questions to ask. If you have any question, you go to the Better Business Bureau. And
there you go. And that's a perfect point to end our little discussion, and hopefully giving our viewers some hints as to what to do and not to do if, in fact, you're contemplating entering into one of these dating services. But there's much more open right after these messages.
I remember how much you said you liked mine. Oh.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of siblings in foster care who'll take you just as you are.
Hands can do incredible things. Now they can even help save a life with hands-only CPR. If you see an adult suddenly collapse, just call 911, then push hard and fast in the center of the chest until help arrives. Learn more at handsonlycpr.org.
Up, college is hard. Down, those books are heavy.
My sport is football, but my passion is education. So every year, I take promising high schoolers on a college tour to show them that higher education means a brighter future.
My name is Nnamdi Asamoah. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Find out how you can live United for education. Give, advocate, volunteer. Go to liveunited.org.
Do you wear this?
Hello, viewers. I'm your host, Ramon Rodriguez. And remember, this is a live and interactive talk show. So join in on the conversation by calling 718-960-7241 or just send us an email to open@bronxnet.org. Harry Bubbins founded Friends of Brook Park in 1999. Since then, Harry, with other local residents, has been gardening and restoring the natural beauty all over the Bronx and New York. They've got some new projects in the works and an exciting announcement about the Bronx-Kill waterway, as Con Edison has agreed to remove the cables that have been blocking the Bronx-Kill from rowers and canoers. Welcome, Harry, to the show, and I'm really interested in hearing how this came about, because taking on Con Edison and getting them to do something that would be so beneficial to local residents must not have been an easy task. So tell us about that success story.
Sure, it wasn't. It's always a challenge to fight, just like our friends in Greece fighting the austerity cuts, who I support. Ever since the early 2000s, we've been paddling on the Bronx-Kill and looking to replicate the successes, as you mentioned, of the Bronx River and spread that kind of resource and attention to the southern tip of the Bronx. So we realized early on that due to the tide variations that the Con Edison cables, which carry electricity from the South Bronx to the Upper East Side, would prohibit the appropriate navigation of the waterway. So we wrote a letter to the mayor, to the EDC, to Con Ed in 2008, indicating our concern and that, in fact, it was illegal given our legal research. And as these things sometimes take time, and with the support of numerous other groups, including New York City Water Trail Association, finally this year, Con Ed, to their credit, committed to remove that.
Did you have any assistance, any political intervention in this cause and helping to make it happen?
Some of our local elected officials did get involved, and Congressman Serrano's staff were at the table for numerous meetings, which we were really grateful for, and they were also looking to identify some resources for further restoration of this wonderful waterway.
So for our viewers, where exactly is the location of the Bronx-Kill and where these cables currently are that Con Edison will be removing?
Sure. Well, the Bronx-Kill is a lovely mile-long waterway that connects the Harlem River to the East River. So those who come to and fro the Bronx across the Triborough Bridge or Willis Avenue Bridge, they would be able to see the Bronx-Kill. And these electrical cables are actually under the Amtrak viaduct, the train that goes from Penn Station up to Boston and beyond. So you can't see it unless you're down by the water, and they're going to be removed.
And how long will that process take?
Well, this kind of attention we hope will keep the fire under Con Ed to live up to their commitment, and they said by the end of this year or early next year at the latest.
So later this year or early next year at the latest?
Yes.
So given the history of moving such things along and all of the bureaucracy involved, perhaps, are you actually relying on that representation?
Well, we're relying on fellow Bronxites to stay involved in this issue with us. We're also, this summer, thanks to support from the Simón Bolívar Foundation, we'll be doing an expanded canoe program on the Bronx Killer for local Bronxites to come out there. It's a very narrow waterway, and it's very safe because there's no other traffic on it, so it's an ideal opportunity to introduce young people. And the more youth and families we have involved, the more people we'll have involved to ask for more resources to enhance it.
And what is the launch point for that canoeing experience?
As some of your viewers may know, the entire southern Bronx has not a single waterfront park, and I'm talking from 149th Street up to Hunts Point. There's no official spot in Port Morris, Mont Haven to get to the water. So at this time, unfortunately, we have to go to Randall's Island, the northwest shore, to actually land or launch a boat through this program, but that will also reintroduce the Bronxites to Randall's Island, a park that we've kind of been cut off from when they try to give it away to private schools.
The park itself, the Randall's Island Park?
Randall's Island, yeah. It's very challenging to get to, unfortunately, and the way they have the permit structures and the private artificial turf ball fields that they try to give to Upper East Side and Riverdale schools exclusively, it's kind of alienated our community that used to walk there to fish, to picnic, to recreate in a variety of manners rather than have to pay a big toll and a big permit fee and those kind of things.
So you want to move that launch site from Randall's Island to somewhere between 149 and Hunts Point?
Well, we're glad for more launch sites. That's why the New York City Water Trail Association, which has been advocating for a blue trail network throughout the city, was so important in this issue. So we want more launch sites on Randall's Island, but we want some in the South Bronx too. And we've identified a number of spots at Park Avenue, at Lincoln Avenue, at 132nd Street. In fact, there used to be a fishing pier that our community used to be able to use. Okay. So there's a number of sites with the right resources and attention we can make happen.
Wow. And can you tell us a little bit about the more than $30 million that through Congressman Serrano's efforts, as I read in a release directed to the Bronx River Restoration in conjunction with the Urban Waters Federal Partnership Program. How helpful has that been in your efforts?
Well, the example of the Bronx River success is something we want to replicate throughout the Bronx, and we want to bring that same kind of attention to the Harlem River, which we helped start the Harlem River Working Group to kind of mirror what was happening in the Bronx River with more of a grassroots influence. And responding to that kind of concern throughout the country, Congressman Serrano and others created this Federal Urban Waters Partnership, of which Bronx River and Harlem River are one of 7 selected nationwide. And we're hoping that the $30 million that over the years has gone to the Bronx River to create the wonderful successes there, some of that attention now will come to the west side of the Bronx on the Harlem River, and we're confident that this partnership is going to be a good catalyst for that.
But that $30 million has nothing to do necessarily with Con Edison and the removal of those cables, or is that part and parcel of the effort?
It doesn't, but just having that kind of investment in resources and attention led Con Ed to conclude that there's a change going on in the Bronx, and they can't just keep doing business as usual. And
it would stand to reason, or at least pretty obvious to me, that the removal of those cables, the introduction of this, of the openness, if you will, of this waterway to allow for canoeing and kayaking is also contributing to the improvement of the environment, I would guess.
Absolutely. Once somebody gets actually on the water and sees an egret or sees a crab, they have a newfound respect for the waterways. And just one generation ago, old-timers from the block on 141st Street, they used to go fishing, they used to go catch eels, they used to go swimming in the East River one generation ago. So a little more time and attention and actual experience in the waterway will lead to a significant improvement in the environment.
And are any of your projects geared to coincide with some of the efforts and objectives of the Federal Partnership Program as it relates to the creation of jobs, which of course is foremost on so many people's minds?
Sure. Well, the green economy is here, and everyone's talking about the environment and how we have to get to renewable energies, get off nuclear power. There's a lot of energy opportunities in turbines in the rivers. They have pilot projects on Roosevelt Island. Learning how to install, how to manufacture those locally is a great green job opportunity. Restoration of the shoreline of the Harlem River, of which there's no dearth of opportunities given it's about 8 miles long, and we can be implementing, as they have elsewhere, mollusk and oyster restoration projects, training young people to have jobs.
Outstanding. Well, Harry, thank you so much for being with us, and for our viewers, for more information on the Friends of Brook Park, you can contact 646-648-4362, and they'll be happy to share additional information with you. But please don't go anywhere, because up next, we're going to find out about the new plans for an all-new Bronx Lighthouse Charter School. We'll be right back.
Coming home can be hard if you're a veteran of Iraq or Afghanistan. You may feel like you're all alone. But you're not alone. At iava.org, your fellow vets are all around you. Join our free online community, get the resources you need, and connect to other vets who know where you're coming from. iava.org. We've got your back.
When it's time for lunch, a sandwich is a quick and easy choice. And with the right ingredients, it can be good and good for you. So I'm here today to see who can build the ultimate sandwich. All right, when the time is up, our judges will give you their scores. Ready, set, go! Okay, Jason starts out with a multi-grain roll. Ooh, Allison's stuffing her pita with, yes, spinach, a great source of iron. Jason isn't skipping on the protein, adding plenty of smoked turkey, like Allison's putting the finishing touches with crispy red bell peppers for a dose of vitamin A. Time! It looks like we have a tie. We'll need to call in our special guest referee.
Now these are what I call quick, delicious lunches. Whole grain breads, a whole variety of ingredients. There are so many different ways to build delicious, healthy sandwiches. These two get high marks in every category. I'd say you're both winners. America.
Let's get healthy together.
Mom, I'm not gonna go to college.
What are you saying? You've got to go to college.
Well, they offered me a job and...
Son, college is much more important.
No.
Yes.
No, Mom.
Yes.
Anyways, it's my decision.
Okay, well then decide what degree you're going to get because you will go to college.
Their tomorrow depends on your words today. The Hispanic Scholarship Fund has the information you need to help your kids go to college.
The first Lighthouse Academy Charter School was started in the Bronx in 2004. Now there are 11 schools in 5 different states educating youth with a unique curriculum designed to ensure everybody has a chance to attend college. And last week, the Bronx Lighthouse Charter School expanded its shine as officials broke ground to make room for a new high school. Today we have with us Principal Matthias Gouchard to talk about the new plans and what makes the Lighthouse Academy such a promising institution. Welcome to the show and thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
This program and what it has to offer, not the program, but these schools, is just magnificent from what I've read. Please share with us, A, how you got involved, and B, where it is the program is going and what it's doing for the community.
So I came to Lighthouse in 2008 from DOE, and I came
the
Department of Education. I came as a teacher leader fellow, and then I moved up the ranks. Last year I was director of instruction, kind of like assistant principal, and this year I became the principal. Bronx Lighthouse Charter School is unique because we offer arts-infused curriculum. That means everything that we do is arts-infused from the start of the lesson to the end product. And we believe that the arts is a motivator and it gets students interested. What we have to offer in this new high school is state-of-the-art gym, state-of-the-art facilities, including a dark room, which I'm excited about, a real music room, as well as our partnership with CUNY University.
Now, we've all heard, I believe, of the cutbacks in budgets from federal to state to city to local as it relates to the arts. And given that this is an art-infused program, as you indicated, is there any concern for what you are doing and the kind of education you're providing to these students to be able to continue providing this type of education that is art-infused?
So, of course, we're always concerned with budget cuts, but what we do that's really smart In Lighthouse is we're self-sustaining, so we rely only on our per pupil funds, and so we manage our budget really well and make sure that we consider any program that we have, anything having to do with arts, we put that at the forefront because we believe that that is how our students are going to get to college. So we make sure that when we budget, make sure that when we look at what we need to cut out, that it's not the arts, making sure that students have quality music programs, that they have quality art programs. We also train our teachers in-house in case we were to lose funding. We train the majority of our teachers to be able to go out and do arts projects with our students. So we kind of believe in like a wraparound where when you come through our doors as an educator, you must know how to deliver the arts to our students.
Now, there is, as you know, another focus, of course, that is nationwide as it relates to the teaching of our young people, and that is the STEM program, the science, technology, engineering, and math programs. Does the curriculum at Lighthouse incorporate some of that as well with its art-infused curriculum?
So it does. So we art-infused through all of our subjects, and we have actually 2 state-of-the-art science labs currently, and our math scores are actually way better than our ELA scores, and we're improving our ELA scores, but we've always been a top school in math because our students get math, they love math. We have a great math program. So yes, even though we're arts infused throughout all of our programs. So that's reading, writing, science, and math. So we definitely have a focus on math and science as well.
Now, the new school, the new high school, will be located at 1001 Intervale Avenue, which, as I understand, is adjacent to an elementary charter school that you have.
Yes, so it'll actually be located at 1005 because we're currently at 1001.
Okay.
So it's right directly next to us in the building that we are in now, which is a Department of Ed building, and we're building our sister building, which is right directly next to our building.
And it'll serve about 200 students, as I understand.
200 9th through 12th grade students.
Now, are these students just from the neighborhood, or will they be from throughout the Bronx or the city?
So we have a lottery process, and we take students from throughout the Bronx. We give preference to the students in our district, so generally students in our neighborhood, but we're open to students around New York City because that's how our charter works.
Now, by receiving additional resources, no doubt it would minimize the need for parents to send their children to schools outside the district.
Right.
And I guess that this is something that the charter schools through the Lighthouse academies is looking to do.
That's what we're looking to do. Keep our brightest and our best inside of the Bronx. Keep them in the Bronx and not having to send them to other schools when we can offer similar or even as good as programs.
Now, does your funding consist of monies coming only from New York City DOE?
Per pupil, money coming from the state.
From the state. Okay, so do you do any fundraising, or can you do any fundraising from foundations, etc., for the curriculum?
We can, but we don't because we believe in being self-sustaining. So if the money were to dry up somehow from foundations, we don't want to be left in a situation where we're struggling. So we work only on the money that we get from the state, per pupil money.
Outstanding. And for additional information that our viewers may want regarding the new high school in particular, what would be the best way to contact you or the school?
So you can go on Bronx Lighthouse Academies.org, or you can go on lighthouseacademies.org, or you can call 646-915-0025, and anyone at the school can help you.
So 646-915-0025 for more information. And I certainly wish you great success with the new high school and continuing to educate our youth.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. And right after these messages, we'll be right back to hear from Luis Arzu of Harlem Seals about the new summer programs that his organization has to offer.
magical thing about using energy wisely is that anyone can do it. Turn off lights. Use energy-saving light bulbs. And turn off computers and game systems when not in use. Make a change and we can really fly. Grab a grown-up and go online to energy.gov/kids.
Right here, hey, I remind you, gentlemen, back in, sir, that we requested that information. That wasn't enough. Then I come from here to get that wasn't enough. Committee organized to get this thing done. Look at the documents that you can learn. It costs any money. Way over the button. All here in black and white. Last January, you have a point to make. Right, you're not paying attention. You're the people who are not paying attention. Just sat on
I have something to say.
You're really not that talented.
You're not attractive.
Too fat.
You're too short.
Too old. Why don't you just give up?
Give up. Give up. Just give up.
Can you tell which of these children was not born free? Can you tell which of these children was not born equal? Can you tell which of these children does not deserve to be treated with dignity? We can't either. Human right number one. We are all born free and equal. What are human rights? Find out at youthforhumanrights.org.
Luis Arzu is the co-founder and CEO of Harlem Seals, a nonprofit dedicated to providing a safe and stable learning environment to make sure young people in the Bronx and beyond succeed. This summer, the Harlem Seals is launching a new program with other organizations in the area to ensure that children who might not otherwise have the opportunity will have a well-rounded and educational experience this summer. Mr. Arzu may have only started Harlem Seals in 2007, but their mission is big. We welcome Luis Arzu and Rhona Harris, Director of Technology, and Jessica Marie Saul, Director of Stepping. Welcome to the show, folks, and thank you for being with us.
Well, thank you.
This sounds intriguing. Harlem Seals Bronx Summer Program. Luis, tell us a little bit about that. What prompted you to get involved in this? And I'll read a couple of quotes from you later on.
Absolutely. Well, Harlem Seals stands for Strengthening Every Aspect of Life. And the initial organization actually started in Harlem in the parks at 120th and Madison Avenue.
Morris Park?
Yeah, Morris Park. Essentially what happened was my brother and I would work out on the pull-up bars all day, and what we saw is that we started to have a following of kids that kind of essentially wanted to do the same thing we were doing. That kind of prompted us and kind of told us, these kids, all they think that we do is work out on a pull-up bar all day. We essentially have families, we have our own jobs, we go to school, parents have their own company, and we help out with that as well. So we decided that we'd basically develop the SEALs to be a program that teaches kids how to strengthen every aspect of life. Now, since then, the mission has changed a bit, and seen a bit of evolution. This summer, we're actually piloting a Bronx summer program in Hunts Point.
Okay.
And it's basically we're teaching 4 components: technology, the arts, excuse me, dance, critical thinking, and the martial arts.
And on that note, I know that the stepping program must be the dance program.
Yes. And you know, it's so funny that we partnered up because I am a Bronx native. So it just seemed like a perfect fit. The Art of Stepping, our program, The Art of Stepping, teaches stepping through mathematical formulas. Because the most important thing about getting active, because we have to get our community active, and our mission has always been fighting childhood obesity. And it's a really big concern in our community. So we think that in order to get them active, we need to not only activate their bodies, but activate their minds. So with the mission that the Harlem Seals is going forward with the Bronx community, we felt it was just a perfect fit.
Absolutely.
And, you know, there we led to the technology component, which Rhina
is
going to tell us about.
So in terms of technology, we're all aware technology is present in all of our lives. Unfortunately, for a lot of the children that we serve, they're not understanding the dynamics of technology related to science, related to mathematics or engineering. And
they're just using it.
They're just using it, and they're excited by it. So we take that engagement and we match it with some really critical thinking skills, as well as some principles related to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM. Many of us have heard about it as educators. And we get them excited. Our kids are building robots. These are early elementary students, so some of them have basic literacy, basic reading skills, and basic mathematics skills, but they're learning principles that are really advanced.
So we can see some of them later on in the Westinghouse competitions that offer major scholarships, right?
Or maybe one day at NASA.
At NASA. Well, it'll have to be a new organization because NASA, as I understand, is fizzling out, right?
It's transforming, I think,
okay.
like a lot of the other organizations that we find. But what we are finding is that industry, in order to spark innovation and be competitive on a global market, we've got to increase the knowledge of science.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. And that's something, of course, that the president himself is certainly at the, leading that charge with his encouragement of those programs, and in particular, a little further down the line, some of the things that he's doing with community colleges, for example, throughout the country. Now, just a question, Jessica and Rhina, are you part of the Harlem Seals as well, or you have separate organizations that you are with and represent?
My company is Rhina Productions, which oversees the Art of Stepping program.
Okay.
So we currently have operations in California, in Illinois. Obviously, New York is our hub market. So we work in partnership with the Harlem Seals to help help the programs grow and really give back to the community.
I found it very interesting. You said that the art of stepping is something that really is taught, connecting it through mathematics.
Yes, isn't that interesting?
Yes.
Well, let me tell you about that. Let me tell you about that.
Okay. Well, we only have 3.5 minutes.
All right. Well, I'll keep it at 30 seconds. What I did was I created a system. I've been stepping for about a long time.
Okay.
And what I did was I realized that stepping is known in the African American culture and the history of African Americans. And what I wanted to do is to make sure that the art form is actually respected. And I wanted to create certain principles such as ballet and other dance forms that sets the groundwork of where people can learn from. So I took the actual body and created mathematical codes to the body and built a core system. And from the system, I started adding other components to it, which actually now, my kids now, which they're learning now, they actually can write like Morse code, mathematical codes, which is the same system as math. And they'll be able to learn choreography. So I can send out choreography across the country, and everyone will understand it.
Wow.
So it's really important that, and I'm stressing this, that not only do our kids become active physically, but they become active mentally, because that's where it really comes down to. Because with the technology, like Rhina was saying, it's out there. And the way she's making the minds work and teaching the kids how to do all these different things, she's getting them active versus staying on a computer just doing what they usually do.
It's just developing the creativity of the mind, which of course is in our youth at those ages is virtually untapped and unblemished, so that you can actually get into their heads and incentivize them to be creative. And what about your organization as it relates to technology? Are you with Harlem Seals also? Or
no, we're doing also another partnership. My organization is Play Pattern. We've been doing consulting and research through lots of different organizations, and myself, I'm also finishing my doctorate at Teachers College, so I've been working with a lot of organizations through them as well. And this has been a partnership. It's been a wonderful match. My company's been really looking for organizations that have both you know, a mission for working with particular urban communities and also to push technology from the innovation and creative standpoint.
That's a great combination, really. I guess the first thing that maybe the youth that you teach, Jessica, the first thing they do is they see the movie, right? Stepping.
What was Stomp the Yard.
Stomp the Yard.
Well, we have something like Stomp the Yard on July 16th. Is the national championship.
Okay.
Well, during the day, we're going to have workshops to teach kids about dancing, stepping, strolling. Then we're going to have a carnival celebration. And then at nighttime is the actual championship, where all my little kids from after school will be performing. My teams from across the country, national teams, will be competing at York College.
At York College.
Yes,
wow,
York College, July
out in
16th.
Queens.
Harlem Seals will be there.
That's outstanding. That really, really is. And what are the ages, by the way, of the children that you teach?
The ages we have from 6 years old to
7 and 8.
7, 8. Well, yeah. Stepping we have 6 up to 30.
Okay.
For Harlem Seals we have
6 to 18, right?
6 to 8-year-olds we're working with right now during the summer program.
Okay.
Yes.
And your summer programs, you have workshops every Saturday through August 13th.
Correct.
Those workshops are held at 11, 1, and 3 p.m. at 940 Garrison Avenue in the Bronx.
That's where I kind of introduce the parents and visitors that come in to the core curriculum, but the kids are in it from 10 through 5.
And as we close out, I'd like to close with a quote from Luis as it relates to some of his description of the Harlem Seals program. He says that Google built an internet, Facebook built a better digital social network, and Apple built a better phone. But the Harlem Seals is out to build better people.
Absolutely.
And who best to begin with than with the youth of our community.
Absolutely.
I congratulate each of you and thank you for being with us and continued success on your program. And July 16th, huh?
Yes.
I might have to put that on
there.
my calendar
Be there.
and check it out.
Great.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
And as always, it's been a pleasure coming into your homes, and we'd like to thank our guests for joining us, and especially you, our viewers, for tuning in. You can tune in tonight for the recablecast of Open at 10 p.m. on Channel 67. And of course, you can catch a new episode on Friday at 10 a.m. with Rhina Valentin. As always, thank you for being with us. Have a great week. And remember to keep your heart and mind open.
Thank you.
Do you have a card?
It'd be great if we could have that. Sure.
So what do you do?
So,
Yeah, these are expensive.
They build robots?
yeah, we're doing robotics.
Are you guys doing, like, started any competitions yet? Or
Well, hopefully it's soon.
like there's a Lego competition. Yeah, I was in the like robotics competition. Yeah, I went to First Douglas Academy. Yeah, so it was a high school version. So no, we didn't do Legos. We did the actual robots. And it was, the year I did it, we were doing a game where the robots had to be built to suck balls up off the floor and like shoot them like basketball into a basket. So it was super awesome. Yeah. I'm like, you did it in high school. yeah, so I'm like, oh my God, do you know about it? Because it'd be nice for the kids to get into. Yeah, that's so cool.
To do
Yeah. Oh. Do you guys like need some help? I'll come help out.
Hey, listen, you have a card.
I don't have a card. Give me. Do you guys have?
I don't have any business cards, but we can write down.
But
information.
Yeah.
Desiree has my